Hey, it's Aaron, Metal Theologian. Alright, so we've got a topic tonight. I've been thinking about doing this for a while, but it's time for another 10 all-time absolute classic metal albums. It's funny, in a way these are easy to do because I know what my favorite records are, but on the other hand, when I'm picking this batch of these, I don't want to pick the most obscure shit, you know what I mean? I will eventually, right? But I talk about that stuff anyway, and I kind of do want you to be able to come here and see what sort of the obvious ones are that I dig, you know? Plus, it's just fun to talk about this stuff because it's favorite albums, you know? The other caveat is actually, it's funny, when I sat down to do that, I was like, I should do another one of these, man. I just put in this album, this album, this album. Then I went back and watched my first one, and half of them I already done. I was like, oh shit, I guess I'm going to have to try a little harder than that. So one thing I've done deliberately is there's no artists duplicated. Okay, so Show No Mercy, another 10 out of 10 record, all-time classic as far as I'm concerned. But it's not in here because I talked about Rain and Blood in the last video. And so I want to keep it, a little interesting, keep it with bands that I haven't talked about as much. It's kind of thrash heavy, this stack, though, too, so. There we go. Anyway, by way of housekeeping, what we're listening to right now is this one that I really just sort of blind bought on this thing for the cover. Tracks. Not a great name, but it looks like kind of obscure and underground. I mean, that almost reminds me more of the Mirrors single, than anything metal, Because all of YouTube's Mirrors fans watch the Metal Theologian. Yeah, so anyway, that's what's playing right now. Oh, here's the other one that I want to show off, too. So if you've been watching this channel for a while, you've probably figured out that I have a little bit of a soft spot for when people write shit on record covers. Yeah, it can be annoying sometimes. It's not the sort of thing that I'm going to categorically endorse or scribble all over your fucking records. It's more that it's fun when it's more fun when it's like this, when it seems organic. Okay, I showed this once before, but hands off. This is Mum's copy. All things being equal, I'd probably take a clean one over this one, but sometimes when I see one with this shit on it, actually this one I specifically got because of that shit. There are a few other copies of it out there. But for the most part, I'll just get a record and sort of take it as it comes, you know what I mean? So I sort of hit the jackpot with this one, a recent one. I just grabbed this not too long ago. It's a Texas kind of early metal classic. I mean, classic, right? I mean, it's a 4-track EP by kind of a nobody band, but it's a fun record, man. These guys are from Houston. This record is 78, and it's pretty metal for 78. It's gonna go in the metal section, out in the rock section. But check out this fucking inner, man. This is the jackpot. By the way, yeah, this is just what the cover looks like. But look at this. Someone redrew the logo. And then made a bunch of notes that, about the songs and shit and who's playing what. It's funny because the credits are on the back. Yeah, but then here it says, good luck, Joseph, with your career, your friends, and apparently all the band members. Let's see, it's a 5-piece. There are 4 signatures. It looks like Lynn Raggio didn't sign it, the guitar player. But the other guys did. Anyway, man, I mean, this is just such... If you're watching this channel, you're probably not the sort of person who draws all over their inner sleeves, right? So, or their record covers. So we're going to fire this up just because I'm pretty confident that we won't get an ad stuck on here. Just like I was pretty confident the same thing with tracks. And then we'll get into some all-time classics. That tracks record. Actually, let me fucking just do it. So I don't get lost in my own shit here, right? So much shit all over the place. Everything is just covered in shit. Actually, it's not because of my record collection we're dealing with here. We take pretty good care of these things around here, just because I don't do like sort of the the anal posturing that some people do with their fucking elaborate like cleaning and all that kind of shit. But I still try and take care of my shit. So anyway, this is Blitz, 4-song EP, 45 RPM. Not the cleanest copy on the planet. At least I hope not, because there are more of these out there. And if this is the most pristine one, then I don't know. Something in my head, I always go back to like the pottery shards that people at archaeologists find like in Turkey and shit underneath like, cities that have been also buried, They dig the shit out and they figure out what they can. And, by the standard of like a smashed fucking like vase from like 5,000 years ago, that's where people are trying to figure out about the civilization based on what they can piece together from like, by that standard, this record's in great shape. So that's kind of how I try and look at these things. That doesn't sound too bad anyway. Nice deep grooves, still old enough for that. Alright, so let's get into the classics. And here's what I'm a little bit surprised I didn't lead with last time, because I'm going to lead with this time. And it's apropos to having shit written on your album covers too, but... This is fucking Diamond Head, the White Album, also known as Lightning to the Nations. There was a... Okay, so... I think the story of this is pretty well known, but the very first copies, they just sent out like with plain white jackets and completely plain everything. And so a lot of people who got them decorated themselves. And some people weren't the most gifted artists on the planet, but they gave it the good old college try anyway. You know something? I salute them for that. Actually, one thing I like about this is you can tell from the handwriting that this person is European. Like you see on the bottom there how they wrote "sucking my love." That's not how an American writes a letter K. Or a letter L in lightning, for that matter, But there's the real giveaway. Am I evil? See that I? I guess it was a German who wrote that shit on. Even though I'm pretty sure I got this from someone in Sweden. It's actually one of the very first records that I sent away for through the internet. And I couldn't believe I had my hands on this thing, It's one of the most expensive records I bought at that time, too, but it's a fraction of what people are selling these things for now. Anyway, a lot of these got signed by one band member. There are a few out there with all the band members, and there are a bunch that didn't get any signatures at all. Then there's another pressing of this one, which still had the plain cover, but it had printed center labels. Like DH Records or something like that. Or maybe it said Happy Face, just had a little DH logo. I don't remember. I can look at the 45s and figure it out, but I'm not going to now. And then there was a pressing on a tiny label out of Germany, if I'm not mistaken, called Wolf, like WOOLFE. And that one actually had, kind of a mediocre cover art with like sort of a map that was kind of, I don't know, looking destroyed or something like that. Again, I'm not mad about it, but this is really kind of the original artifact. Every song on this thing is really great. I mean, I realize that there's nothing that I'm going to be able to say about this record that's going to match the hype that Lars Ulrich has piled on this thing over the years. But this record really is that good. And unfortunately, there are a lot of remixes of it. There's another thing Lars will be quick to tell you, but there are a lot of remixed versions. Like Behold the Beginning had a lot of the same songs, but like kind of more, just less aggressive sounding takes. I used to have the Am I Evil record too. It's another comp of theirs. For my first introduction to a lot of these songs, I had that before I had this. I don't have it anymore. But, again, the versions just aren't as good, so it really took some hunting. There was even a CD version out there that claimed to be the original mix that actually wasn't. And I got that one too. I remember listening to it going, this sounds the same as the other fucking record that I had that did the sound, but what's up with this? And then eventually, I got this thing, and it was like, oh my god, it was like hearing this shit all over for the first time. So yeah, every song on here is great. Sucking My Love, you can pretty much listen to side by side with Seek and Destroy by Metallica, and it almost follows the same, like not only are the riffs all kind of copied, but like the sequence that the riffs appear in the song is kind of copied too. It's a little bit different than that, but clearly heavy influence. And again, no shade at Metallica, because that's how you write songs when you're learning how to write songs, And when you know how to write songs, you've written a ton of them, you probably still do that, you just don't notice it so much anymore, you know? Am I Evil? It's electric. The Prince is a personal favorite. Sweet and Innocent is great. Help Us is great, but that's on one or two of the singles too, so I've kind of heard that one more than a lot of the other ones. All-time classic record. Next one, I almost pulled out the first one, which was Sirens, but I wouldn't put the Dungeons Are Calling by Savatage. Partially because the cover's so much weirder. I mean, I actually still have the other one sitting here. Yeah, there's the combat version. And there's the par version. So they're all here, you know? But I have to say my very favorite songs are on this one. Like a song like By the Grace of the Witch. Total fucking banger. The Dungeons Are Calling. And then it has a reworking of City Beneath the Surface, which is from that single they put out as Avatar. So it's really easy stuff. Fantastic performance. Great vocals. John Oliva's really a first-rate singer. And absolute fucking classic, man. I don't remember where I got this. That's kind of a good sort of good way to come up with stories associated with this. I actually got this one not too long after I moved to San Francisco. I snagged this one on Rocket Records, which was on 9th Avenue between Irving and Judah at the time. It's been gone for probably 20 years now, okay, because it didn't last all that long. But they had a copy when I was looking for it from Bonded by Blood by Exodus. As the big sort of thrash records go, this one kind of feels sloppier than a lot of them. I think largely due to Paul Bailoff's singing style, which is just kind of, you know, yelpy and shouty and, kind of sloppy sounding. But it's perfect for the record. You know what I mean? And musicianship on this is all there. You know what I mean? The songs are well written. Yeah, Metal Command is great. Exodus is great. Piranha is probably my favorite song on this thing. Deliver Us to Evil is great. Like them being a little bit satanic, even though that's kind of not so much what they did. Like that and Gary Holt there, kind of the only real like Satan things on this one. But it was enough to intimidate me when I was a kid, if I'm honest. Anyway, absolutely fantastic record. Yeah. Alright, now the next one is going to be a little bit unorthodox. Let me flip the Blitz record. It's only 4 songs. I have to press the thing to make it go 45 RPM. The singer's a little bit annoying on this thing. Like this high register. I can totally hang with it, though. It's just like, this isn't the kind... Like, John Oliver would have sung these songs way better than this dude, you know? But the record would have been completely different then, too. You know what I mean? And I don't know, I think something like this, especially when you don't know anything about him, it's kind of perfect the way it is. It's like a little artifact of whatever it represents. Anyway, the next one I pulled is actually a comp. It's a comp you've probably heard me raving about before, but out of all of the heavy metal compilation albums I have, which is probably about this many, it's about a cube, and more significantly, out of all the comps of the new wave of British heavy metal era, I think this is probably the best one of the heavy metal heroes. I think I like Rock Snacks as much as I like this one, but Rock Snacks is just the 3 bands. And this one really gives you sort of a cross-section of a lot of great bands in the very early days. I mean, it has an early Grim Reaper song on it from before Steve Grimmett joined the band. It has Jaguar banging it with Stormchild. Hard Life by Metal Mirror. The only thing you could get other than that was like the single, which is even harder to find than this, until shit's been reissued. So it's cool to see them on a comp like this. Rabies by Witchfinder General, which appeared on the Soviet Invasion 12-inch, I think, too, but a different version. And then just some sleepers on here, like Rock Japan by Exposure, you know, and Do It by Dragster. Again, Dragster had 1 single on heavy metal, and on this song that's it as far as I know. So, like, a lot of bands who didn't do a whole lot of stuff put their best shit on this record, and overall, start to finish, I like some songs more than others, but there's nothing where I'm going to get off the couch and skip past the track. This is a 10 out of 10 comp. And it's really, if you just wanted to get like one record to get an idea of what the new wave of British heavy metal was about, you can't do better than this. And I'm not sure if you can do as well as this with anything else out there, you know? Scene of the Crime is another great, you know, new wave comp, but it's definitely geared towards, you know, the few specific bands that they're pushing on there, you know? And Savage is on there, and if you don't give a shit about the other bands, then, well, I don't know. You learn to give a shit about these bands. Maybe that's not a fair comparison. I don't know how many people are going to pick this up and already know what Bitch's Sin sounds like, you know? Anyway, another thrash one is up next. This is the original copy of this that I bought in 87 or 88. Probably 88. Because I saw these guys on this tour with Anthrax in November of 87. And that was the first time I ever heard Testament. Anyway, absolutely fantastic record. Raging Waters might be my favorite song on here. Every song was great though. Alone in the Dark is great. Apocalyptic City was like, when I was like 15 and like trying to learn to play the guitar a little bit before I like got cynical and gave up on that shit. I tried to play like that opening like rhythm part and shit on that. Over the Wall is great. Fuck, every single song on this thing is just fucking fantastic. You know? Yeah. What a great band photo too. Looking so young. Got that light going though too. Pros. Not really the best album cover of the era, but I feel like it's aged well, you know? I think people tend to overuse the word iconic. But this is definitely the Testament that I think of when I think of Testament. I don't think of like Practice What You Preach or whatever with that, you know, sort of weird shit on there, you know? I actually don't know the records as well as I probably ought to. But the New Order was already such a disappointment after this one. New Order's a good record, but it's nowhere near as good as The Legacy. Alright, here's a band you might be surprised that I skipped first time around, because this is really a big one, but just going for like straight up heavy metal classics. I don't know if Judas Priest ever made a better record than this. Now, I've heard a lot of complaints about like the drum sound on this record. I get it. There's a lot of 80s production shit that I'm not crazy about. The production of Don't Break the Oath is way too bright, you know? But even the corny songs on here, like Heavy Duty, going into that Defenders of the Faith riff at the end. If you want to hate on that, you can, but if you want to sit back and take that in, it's fucking fantastic, man. Freewheel Burning, Jawbreaker, Rock Hard Ride Free, backs off a little bit, but then into the Sentinel. I mean, my God, that's just one side of this that's fantastic. Some Heads Are Gonna Roll, which is probably the hit that the biggest hit they had off this. It's probably the weakest song on this record, and I wouldn't call it weak. Love Bites is fucking great, man. It's like sort of dark and menacing in a way that Priest often wasn't. You know, especially getting into this era when they were starting to do more like the United sing-along type of shit. You know, like United off British Steel, and you know, just some of those kind of corny ones. Take These Chains off of Screaming for Vengeance. This one doesn't have any of that kind of bullshit on it, man. This is just a solid fucking legitimate heavy metal record from start to finish. And if I were talking about one of their 70s records that have been maybe more influential than this one, I'd have to do a lot more about way of sort of qualifying like where the influence was and, you know, how this and that hadn't really been done before and that. With this requires no qualification. Like just a straight up heavy metal record. When did this come out? I think 84? 83 or 84. 84. Absolutely great. Here's another one that I'm a little bit surprised didn't come up in the last one because this is a personal, like, sort of close to my heart favorite. But fucking, you can say what you want about black metal, but Welcome to Hell is my favorite metal, is my favorite Venom record. It's a little bit sloppier. It's, I don't know, black metal is pretty loose too, but this one's looser. This one doesn't have the Teacher's Pet on it, which is kind of a clunker off that album. And it has In League with Satan. It has 1,000 Days in Sodom, which might be my favorite Venom song. I mean, it's another 3 in a row. 1,000 Days in Sodom, Angel Dust, and In League with Satan. Just like trio you can't beat. And before that is Witching Hour on here, right? Yeah, Sons of Satan is already such a strong like introduction. And I know they reused this from the single, but he's holding a fucking axe, man. Yeah, I was looking to see if it said home taping is killing music, so are Venom. Apparently that's just on the other one. But I will go ahead and show this off because it's like an original press. So there's the blue neat label. And we have the pink lyric sheet. So you can sing along. And there's this poster too. It's not really the most intimidating shot, you know, but that is what they look like. Fucking Abaddon looks maybe a little lost. Great record. Definitely a dirty record, one that sort of owes more to like Motorhead, although I hear a lot of Deep Purple in this record too, honestly. But more in that sort of vein, but honestly, man, I like these guys more than Tank. Or, I mean, fucking Motorhead, if I'm honest. You know, it's definitely from the school of sort of very simple metal, but it's just so effective and so powerful, man. Let's see what else I have here that I can follow up Blitz with. Whole bunch of records right here, but you know, there may be a lot of records, but it doesn't mean I have the right record to hand. What else do we have here? Here, I'll put this one on. This is Tritium, some nobody band out of Buffalo. I just saw a video of these guys, and I don't know if they probably gave the Mentors a run for their money as far as like ugly bands go. Like these guys just like look like way too old to be playing this kind of music and shit. But this record smokes, man. Check out it's kind of hilarious. There's a video on YouTube for the song Heroes by Tritium, which you're about to hear. And I'm not prepared to call this an all-time classic yet, but I do like this record a lot. The next classic we're going to talk about, Morbid Tales by Celtic Frost. There's a lot of progression. Well, obviously this is a pretty long way advanced from Hellhammer, but there was a lot of sort of progression in their sound between this record and To Megatherion. I think as far as the influence on like black metal, later on, there's talk about this record, but I almost feel like more of it comes from To Megatherion as far as like sort of the majestic stuff, like timpani in there and shit like that. This one is a lot more sort of down to earth. Still some very unusual songwriting on this. I mean, Danse Macabre is just sort of a weird, like, noisy thing almost. But even like Into the Crypts of Rays or Dethroned Emperor, it's just sort of a weird approach to the songwriting on these songs, you know what I mean? It's unusual. It makes for a really interesting listening experience, too. And this one has an insert I can show off, too. This is a Metal Blade press. I don't have the EP on Noise. So there's the Metal Blade label right there. Yeah. And then there's the fucking merchandise insert from Metal Blade, which seems to be geared towards them a lot more than the band. And this poster, oops, which also has lyrics on it, which seems like kind of a weird thing to do on a poster, but I don't know. I guess you have to make certain choices. And then an order form for Celtic Frost stuff with an address in Germany. Just so y'all know, we had to go to Effort to get our shit, like back in the day, right? So you have to send away to Germany. Actually, after I got my copy of Frankenchrist by the Dead Kennedys, at the time, if you like wrote to them and swore you were 18, they would still send you a poster to stick in there, like after they'd withdrawn it. So when I was in Germany still, I wrote to Alternative Tentacles in San Francisco and lied about my age. And got a Frankenchrist poster, which now sits proudly in my copy of that album. But that's not an all-time heavy metal classic. Morbid Tales is. Alright. Everyone probably knows I have a soft spot for epic metal. It's probably my favorite sort of thing, and it's a little bit hard to sort of bracket. It's a little bit hard to sort of define like the range of what constitutes epic metal. But you kind of know it when you hear it, and you hear it all over this fucking record. First of all, the dude's fighting a polar bear. I mean, that's all you need to know you need this record, okay? This does have a bonus single, and you want to see the poster? I've shown it on all the other ones. What the hell? Yeah, I printed in her too, so they kind of went all out with this packaging. Even if they weren't a big label, I salute them for being willing to invest that. There you go. It's a much cooler poster than the Celtic Cross one, right? Absolutely great record. These guys, their first record is also really early for what it says, like 78 or something like that, Full Speed at High Level. And it's a good record. They didn't really find their style until the next EP after that, the Metal Conquest, which is also great. Then came this one, and then another full-length called Stronger Than Evil. And you won't often hear me say that the first record is the weakest by a band, but in the case of Heavy Loaded, it is. Again, it's not bad, it's just they hadn't found the style yet. And, in fairness, it's not like they had anyone to look to in 78, See, a ballad for your second track is kind of not the best choice. Anyway, very heavy record. The Guitar Is My Sword, corny song, great chorus. Fucking Might for Right might be one of my favorite songs. Something New is a little bit lame, but I don't skip past it. Traveler, Daybreak Ecstasy. Just great record. Not the heaviest thing on this list. The heaviest thing on this list is actually coming up right now. Because for the 10th one here, we're going with the mighty Possessed on Seven Churches. I did not get into Possessed back in the day. I was scared, When I got this record many, many years later, not 20, 25 years ago now, but it still blew me away. And I had listened to like black metal at that point, shit, like death metal. This thing, I'm not going to sit here and get into whether this is the first death metal record or not. I kind of think that's a fool's game to play, because early death doesn't really sound like death metal to me. And, but these guys were one of the first to use the term death metal. Them and Onslaught were tied. They both put out records in 85 where they referenced death metal, sort of as a concept. I think Onslaught had a song too. Onslaught had a little thing on there that said death, metal at its heaviest, which I thought was funny. But this record, man, Burning in Hell is so rough. Seven Churches has one of the weirdest guitar parts I've ever heard in a song that fast. Satan's Curse, come on. It's called Satan's Curse. How are you not going to love that fucking song? And then death metal, And this is, I didn't even mention, The Exorcist or Pentagram. Every song on this is so heavy, like from start to finish. And it's not just that they play so well and that it's fast and aggressive and rough. The songs are there too, man. And not only are the songs there, but they put in the little flourishes that like elevate the songs from being, good songs into great songs. So yeah, it's kind of hard to say too many good things about Seven Churches by Possessed. It's an absolutely fantastic record. I'm sure everyone knows that Larry Lalonde was in this band too. Who cares about Primus? Possessed is what it's about over here. Actually, you know something? Little shout out to Thumpfinger, because this is all him. I actually bought my first Primus record just like not even a week ago. I've listened to this once. I was like, that's not so bad. So I'm still taking it and digesting it. Maybe we'll make a Primus fan out of me yet, but give me time, because back when this record came out, I wasn't buying what they were selling. I just thought it was a fucking ego trip for the bass player and shit. I kind of thought it was crap. Anyway, I no longer think it's crap. I'm checking it out. But I'm going to own one record that has Larry Lalonde on it, it's going to be fucking Possessed. If I'm going to own 3, it's going to be 7 Churches on the other 2 Possessed records. And then we can start talking about Primus, or for that matter, Blind Illusion. I didn't think their record was that great. So. Alright, so that's 10 records. All-time absolute classics. Each one of these has gotten a ton of play around here. And, yeah, you won't go wrong with any of these bad boys, man. If you disagree, you can take me to task in the comments. Alright, thanks as always for watching. I'm going to keep making these videos as long as it stays fun. And as long as I don't run out of records. But that is never going to happen, I'm very happy to say. Alright, thanks for watching. I will see you all next time. I've noticed that, like, this is kind of my signature move to go, thanks for watching, and then scratch my nose. It's kind of a weird thing to do, isn't it? Probably even more weird than holding my pinky up when I take a drink, which I had no idea I did until I started making videos. Anyway, thanks for watching. I can't resist.